My name is Edward James. I'm a qualified attorney in South Africa, and I recently passed the QLTS assessments on my first attempt. I started my legal career in 2008 when I commenced my legal articles here in South Africa, similar to the UK traineeships. I then spent a few years focusing on the mining industry in a lot of contentious matters, before stepping out of the legal industry for 2 years to pursue a full-time MBA in Hong Kong. And it was towards the end of the MBA when I started the QLTS process by studying for the MCT. I think it's important for any lawyer to have a broad understanding of the law, and I think it's really valuable to be qualified in more than one jurisdiction. The UK legal system in particular has, in my mind, shaped a lot of legal systems in the world. And in the space that I work in, being bribery and corruption, it's particularly important because the UK Bribery Act is applied largely outside of the United Kingdom. So a lot of the investigations I'm involved with do involve UK law. And so it's really important for me to understand the implications of that. When I started this process and I started to see what's really involved, I realized that it was going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time. So I wanted to try and make my preparation as efficient and as effective as possible. I looked at different service providers online and some of the reviews. The QLTS School was one that was reviewed very positively, and so I used them for the MCT. I found the MCT prep extremely helpful, and the exam went quite well for me. So naturally, when I faced the OSCE, being the second leg, I chose to use the QLTS School again. The QLTS School, I feel, gave me a lot of advantages. The primary advantage was just knowing what was coming. So I got really good service delivery in that I got good guidance on the material, good support when I had questions, and good advice, sometimes when I needed to hear it, not necessarily when I wanted to hear it. There were two things that were really great from the QLTS School. The first thing was the support from the tutor. I had a great tutor who really gave me good guidance and often pointed me in the right direction when I could have gone on the wrong path. The second thing was the practice questions. For the MCT, I did a lot of practice questions online, which really helped prepare me. And again, for the OSCE, I did the 125 test questions, not all of them, but most of them. And it just helped me feel a bit more at ease when I went into the test, and of course helped me be properly prepared. So my studying experience for the MCT was very different than for the OSCE. I did the MCT towards the end of my MBA, so I managed to set aside a few weeks to study full-time for the MCT, and I was used to studying at the time. For the OSCE, I studied whilst I was working, so initially I would try and study about 2 hours before work, but as the process went on, I had to start studying after work as well, and on some weekends. And I was really lucky. Before the exam, I managed to take 2 weeks off to just finish things up. Although the firm didn't pay for me to take the QLTS exams, the firm was very supportive in that they gave me a lot of time off, particularly before the OSCEs, to properly prepare. I don't think anybody goes into the OSCE truly feeling prepared. It's a unique process and it's very difficult. But having done a lot of test questions beforehand, particularly relying on the 125 test questions, really did, in my view, make me feel more at ease than I would have otherwise have been. Currently, I work in white-collar crime and investigations. I work with multidisciplinary teams here in South Africa, including accountants, investigators, and digital forensic experts. I also do a lot of cross-border work, which involves engaging with local counsel in different African countries, many of which have legal systems based on the UK law. As a qualified South African attorney who will hopefully become UK qualified in due course when I apply, having passed the QLTS, my firm will be able to market me much more effectively when it comes to dealing with UK legal issues, particularly those that relate to the UK Bribery Act, and I will also be a much more dynamic individual for the firm when it comes to engaging with clients. I think anybody who goes into the MCT or OSCE without getting a preparation course either has too much time or too much money. To be honest, going in without being properly prepared would be suicide, and these exams are very expensive, and preparing on your own would take a very, very long time. The QLTS is similar to a process of evaluating whether or not you should do an MBA. So I'll give people the same advice that I would when they ask me about that. You need to evaluate the cost versus the benefit, and if you feel that being UK qualified is something worthwhile, then you should definitely pursue the QLTS and make sure you start preparing as early as possible. Anyone who has a large degree of involvement with the UK law, either directly or indirectly in their day-to-day function, should consider the QLTS. For example, anybody who works in banking and finance would know that many of these agreements are based on the UK law, and for that reason they probably need to have an idea of what the UK law actually entails. In today's world, the key skill for any lawyer is being able to adapt to change. The law is constantly evolving, the world is constantly evolving. So for anybody to succeed in today's world, you need to constantly adapt and constantly develop yourself to keep up with the times.